Leader Fan Radio Network, and KFAN.com. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 1 second past the hour of 3 o'clock Central Daylight Time. Friday Football Beast edition of the afternoon Aardvark on an extremely moist Friday afternoon here in the Twin Cities of Minneapolis and St. Paul. Guardsy produces the show. My name is Dan Barreiro, former Ink Stain Rich newspaper of the Twin Cities. And I originally thought I was going to have to rush out of the box here because we expected a quick Russo entry to the program to accommodate his schedule. Now it turns out he's going to join a second segment. Is that correct? 3:15?
According to the text you just sent me.
According to Glenn, he will now join at 3:15 today. Russo Radio. We will, of course, discuss the outstanding, entertaining first two games now of the Stanley Cup Final. You could hear all these games on the fan. You could have heard Game 2 last night, including the OT. Russo at 3:15. And that kind of left me, well, not scrambling exactly, but a little bit in audible mode about what do I do for a short entry segment, to sort of set this thing up, because we don't have a lot of time for me to bloviate. If we got to be back from our first break by like 3:15 or 3:17. And my inspiration came via the screen, because you and I both were watching, or had at least on in the background, on the ESPN NBA set with, yes, the Alamo in the background. What did they have? They were doing a series of Alamo-related trivia questions. And one of the questions was multiple choice. They named 3 actors and said which one of these 3 did not portray Davy Crockett in a film adaptation of the Remember the Alamo. And I know the 2 who did play Crockett. I don't remember how goofy the third one was that was incorrect. Do you remember who the third one was?
Was it Billy Bob?
No, Billy Bob was. I'm saying the third one who isn't, who has not played him.
I forgot it.
It was some goofy one that should have made it obvious.
Christopher Walken?
It was Walken.
Yeah.
That's good. Good call. And the answer is, no, not Christopher Walken. That would be, I think, actually might be kind of intriguing what Christopher Walken's interpretation of Davy Crockett might look like. It'd or sound great. Like. But the correct answer is John Wayne in the 1960 film, and then Billy Bob Thornton in the later version. And I want to stand tall here for John Wayne a little bit, because I did the old AI, who played Crockett better in the movies, John Wayne or Billy Bob Thornton. AI writes this: Billy Bob Thornton's portrayal of Davy Crockett in the 2004 The Alamo film is widely considered the better, more historically accurate performance. While John Wayne played a larger-than-life patriotic hero in the 1960 film, Thornton's take was critically praised for being a multi-dimensional, self-doubting, and nuanced take.
Of course it was.
On the famous frontiersman. Does it always have... Sometimes I'm ready for that, but if we're remembering the Alamo, does it need to be that nuanced? Does it need always to be multi-dimensional? Does the hero have to be self-doubting? We got enough self-doubting heroes out there. Why can't Davy Crockett be different? John Wayne certainly felt that was the case, because John Wayne did not do it in a self-doubting, nuanced sort of way. Now, you could make an argument that, generally speaking, John Wayne played himself in a lot of movies more than the character. But I'm standing tall. We just talked about this yesterday. I saw the 1960 version 5 times in the theater, dragged my parents and grandparents to the Palace Theater, Gary, Indiana, 5 times over a period of like several weeks. So I'm standing tall here for John Wayne. Have you ever seen... Now, you're younger, so did you see the 2004 Alamo film?
No, I don't even remember it.
Okay.
I feel like I should. It was in the era where I was still going to movies quite a bit.
Yeah.
2004, 5,
Correct.
6, 7, 8. I have a little FOMO that I haven't seen either one of those, because those are actually movies I would watch. I am interested in that kind of stuff. Like the horror movies and stuff that you always bring up that I've never seen, I'll never watch.
Yeah,
those. But this one,
yeah.
I don't know why I haven't seen the Alamo. It's kind of surprising that I haven't. Either one of those.
Critic Roger Ebert famously noted that Thornton brought a, quote, poignant dignity to the role, accurately depicting him as a politician and thoughtful warrior, rather than just an action hero. It's okay to just be every once in a while. Larger than life is a form of acting. And do we really need that story at this late date to be that perfectly accurate? I don't know. Do we need that one? I'm a big nuance guy. I'm not sure we need nuanced Alamo. Maybe we do. I don't remember seeing the Billy Bob Thornton version, which came. I remember when it came out, but I think I was just too. Even at that advanced age, I was. I don't want it ruined. Let me keep one of my childhood moments, that isn't very nuanced, but I'm 5, for God's sake. Is it okay if at 5 years old, I'm not, well, son, you need all aspects of the Crockett character. That has to be drawn out in a very nuanced way. I know. I don't need it. John Wayne is Davy Crockett. That's fine for me. I had no difficulty. And I love Billy Bob Thornton. How do you not? Interesting, guy. What's his best role for you? Bad Santa?
Probably. Was he in Friday Night Lights? He was in Friday Night Lights,
true,
too, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Thought he was pretty good in that.
Yeah. So, I don't know. That's the AI version of said event. If you've seen the later version, let me know what you think of it. Because sometimes you can go so far with nuance, you lose the mythic part of it. The myth that's established with it, I think makes it huge in the first place. There's always a place for nuance. I just don't know if it has to be in remembering the Alamo, which is a big topic of conversation because Game 2 of the NBA Finals is tonight in San Antonio, Davie. Did you see the chart somebody put together on ticket prices for Game 3?
I've seen a lot of these, yeah, in New York, back at the Garden.
Which one did I see? This was from your guy Danny Wetzel?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, is this the Saginaw, Michigan?
So, no, what does that mean?
He had one comparison with Saginaw, Michigan house prices.
I didn't see that. But he's got various locations for Game 3 NBA Finals, the Garden. And I'm looking upper deck section, looks like 222, which I would say is highest level, and you're kind of behind. You're not behind the court, but the court is to your right. You're to the side of the court. You're nowhere near even in the end zone. You're way past the end zone point. $10,680. Oh! Then there's one that looks like, I don't even know what this is. It's in. This is some kind of a mezzanine level, but way behind, way off. I mean, you're much higher than court level, and it's behind the basket. $20,000, $20,001. Now, is he saying per ticket or per pair on any of these charts? Do you know?
I would imagine that's.
You think these are singles?
Yes, those are singles. Yes.
Courtside. One price is listed as $45,000. When I say courtside, I don't mean right on the court. I mean right behind those courtside seats. $45,823. And the best price I see on his chart here is a pair of tickets, kitty corner, basically to the end zone, to the baseline, to the left, upper deck, $8,035. That's the best price. You got to love your basketball, man. In New York, they do.
You could argue that the $18,000 seats in Section 2, right behind the basket, that's your best bargain.
I think you're right.
When you go around the corner and there's $53,000
I agree.
seats, I think that's the best bargain right there.
Yeah, of the ones that are at least in this chart, I think you're probably right about that. There's some that seem inconsistent. Maybe there's reasons that go into why this one's more expensive than that one when you say, well, that one actually looks like maybe a better ticket. All right, let's stay on schedule because Russo Radio is a very busy man. He is tracking the Stanley Cup Final round, which has now been evened up at a game apiece. The long, impressive. We had, as of last night, 2 incredible winning streaks going between NHL and NBA, right? The Knicks is still intact. I think it's now 12 in a row. And how many in a row had Vegas won? Was it 8?
I'm not sure.
He'll tell us. It was an incredible number, and they looked like they were in position to go ahead 2-0 in the series. They lose in OT. All the details and some Minnesota Wild trade speculation as well. We'll follow up on that discussion we got into yesterday. Russo Radio next here in the Fan.
Bumper to Bumper with Dan Barreiro.
Guest lineup. The uglydeck.com guest lineup includes Friday regulars Lavelle at 5:30, Ben Gessling at 4:30 with an Edina story that you can't make up, and Russo Radio, not necessarily a Friday regular, kind enough to give us some time here on very late notice via the Connecticut Water Systems hotline. And there's my cursor, and let's say hi to Mr. Russo. How are you, sir?
Good. How you doing?
All right. Are you? What's your schedule? Have you already landed, or are you staying here for a day?
In 107-degree weather. Hottest day of the year, I'm told by my Uber driver.
107, you say? Man.
Yes.
At that temperature, it doesn't matter how dry it is, does it?
No, but it's still better than Florida.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. What's sauna like here today? I mean, it's not Florida sauna, but it's
actually
tropical.
We get it bad in Minnesota. Yeah,
we do.
Yeah, you get bad humidity there. I don't like the humidity. I don't mind the dryness.
I'm with you 100%. It's a real obsession I have, unfortunately. Let's get to the important stuff first. How quickly are we going to make that Dylan Larkin deal?
I don't know how quickly it's going to happen because Steve Yzerman's pissed. Look, I think the Wild have known for a week or so that Dylan requested a trade. And I do think the Wild have contacted the Red Wings to get it started. But I think that Steve is still trying to process this and processing how it got out. I don't think this came out from Dylan's camp, which is probably what's ticking off a lot of people, even Dylan. I think they wanted to do this quietly. But look, the Wild are going to be hot and heavy after him. I mean, this is why Joe Smith and I have been talking about Dylan Larkin for a year, because we just felt like, I remember as much as last summer, I was talking to you about, if Tage Thompson ever asks out, if Dylan Larkin ever asks out. And I think that Dylan got a taste of winning gold medal at the Olympics, and I think he's tired of missing the playoffs every single year. And obviously it weighs on you when you're from Detroit and you're the captain of the Red Wings, that you have played 5 playoff games in your career and not one in the last 10. And I think that I think he just wants to win. And I think that, he's got a lot of friends in the league, but I think he looks around the league and he's going to control this process because he gets to choose where he wants to go. And I think Minnesota is absolutely on a short list.
How good is he?
He's great. I mean, he's turning 30 this summer, which obviously scares you. He does have some injury issues. But he is he's a highly, highly skilled, much faster Eriksson-ek. Like, he plays the game competitively. He's an absolute stud power play guy. He's a stud penalty killer. And he is going to be, like, immediately, if you put him in a Wild uniform, he's going to be the truest number one center they've ever had. Is he Connor McDavid or something like that? Jack Eichel? Probably not. But he is such a smart, competitive hockey player. Great guy. I think I told you that I sat next to him on a plane for the Four Nations from Detroit to Montreal a year ago, and chatted with him for an hour and a half on that flight. And it was, even at the Olympics, that relationship continued. So, I'm, selfishly, I'm hoping it gets done because I think that he would, one, help the Wild tremendously. But two, just from a relationship standpoint, I would love to write about the guy. He's that good of a hockey player, super fast, very skilled, consistent 30-goal guy. And I think you put him on a team like this with a Kirill Kaprizov on your left or a Matt Boldy on your right, And I think that he is somebody that we haven't seen the output that he actually could be in the National Hockey League.
Pat Micheletti via X 18 hours ago. If you people want Larkin, you 100% cannot give up Eriksson Ek. Do you agree?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say you can't, but I would say, look, the Wild wouldn't want to. Look, Steve Yzerman, even though Dylan Larkin controls this process, is not going to just give him away.
Yeah.
And the other thing is there's pressure. Like, this team has lost for 10 years in a row. They've melted down the last 3 years. I mean, this is a team that was leading the division this winter. And they got to win. And I don't think that the fans are going to tolerate a rebuild on the rebuild. And I don't think Chris Ilitch is, I almost said Mike Ilitch, Chris Ilitch is going to, tolerate that as well. So they're going to want more than Urov and Stramel in a first. And so the question is, how can you nuance it?
Yeah.
I personally think that they got to get grittier, the Red Wings. And so could you throw a Hartman into the deal? Do they want a defenseman like a Brodin? Could you do that? If you have to give up somebody off your roster, can you do the deal without an Eriksson Ek? That's the biggest question. But if Eriksson Ek had to be in the deal and you're getting Dylan Larkin back, then you're keeping Danilo Urov and maybe even a stream. There's ways to nuance the type of the deal. Right now, if Dylan Larkin had no trade protection, I think the Wild would have no chance to get this done. Because I just know that there's a gazillion teams in this league that could probably offer a better package than the Wild can, just because they've given up so much in the last couple of years. But because Dylan controls the process, I'm not saying that he would leave his hometown Red Wings that he captains, with definitely little of a package back. But I definitely think that the Wild would not have to give up. Let's put it this way. The Wild knew with Quinn Hughes, because he had no trade protection, that they had to beat out the other suitors. Here, if I'm Bill Guerin, as much as I want Dylan Larkin, I don't think you start with your best offer. Where there, they immediately started with their best offer because they wanted to get over the teams that were the Red Wings, the Devils, and teams like that, where, now because Dylan's going to control where he wants to go, I don't think you go that route.
Yeah, what's interesting about this, in this case, in this scenario, Wild fans should be delighted that he's got that much control, right, in the no trade. Because as you say, it absolutely enhances. It doesn't guarantee that he ends up here, but it absolutely enhances the chances that he ends up here.
Yeah, and he wants to win, and there are going to be other teams that are on the precipice of winning. They're going to go after him. Like the Lightning could go after him. The Dallas Stars absolutely could go after him. Boston Bruins could go after him. There's going to be other teams that, San Jose, Anaheim, Columbus, that probably don't have, the Columbus would be the one team that would scare me. Although if he really wants to win, are you really going there? But, because his best friend, Zach Werenski, is there, that'd be the one team. But I just don't, Montreal is another team that I know are going to go after him. So, and the other thing is, if you give up Dylan Larkin and you're the Red Wings, they've got, no centers. So they've got to get centers back. And that's why, I do wonder if the Wild, if they offered Urov and Stramel, if that would get their attention. Because I think Urov and Stramel, in terms of prospects, would be better than anybody in the Detroit, organization currently.
How did the Canes come back last night to win an OT?
I was just talking to somebody, an executive in the league, about that because, it felt in game one like Vegas was going to rally. Last night came out of nowhere. I mean, Carolina was getting nothing done in the third period to the point that, Rod Brind'Amour, who loathes to break up lines, actually put Jarvis on the third line and Martinook on the first line. And it was the other lines that actually sparked them, the Stankoven line and the Carrier line that sparked them coming back. But it started with just, an incredibly good play by a very courageous guy in Logan Stankoven. I mean, this was remember the consolation prize that the Carolina Hurricanes got last year when they traded for Mikko Rantanen, couldn't sign him, and then traded him to Dallas and got Stankoven back. And Stankoven now leads them with 10 goals in the playoffs. He's 5'8". I could probably pick him up with one arm. And he goes into the, behind the net and takes Rasmus Andersson, who's one of the most physical guys in the league from a blue line perspective, and just bumps him right off the puck, wins the puck battle, and scores a, individual effort goal. And then 2 minutes later, the game's tied with another individual effort. So it was the closest the last 10 minutes in the beginning of overtime that we've seen the Carolina Hurricanes in this series. They were relentless. They were fast. They looked like the Carolina Hurricanes. So, it's a totally brand new series, man. If they go down 2-0, this could have been a very short series. Now I'm almost sensing that it's going to go 7. It was a heck of a win, and these have been two sensational hockey games to start the Stanley Cup Final.
Yeah, great start to the series. Hey, what is the? I don't know if I've asked you this before. What's a Vegas hockey crowd like?
Rabid. I mean, it's like going to a Vegas club. The fans here have been great. They do get a lot of out of town fans. Now, I will say in the playoffs, I've covered a bunch of playoff games here now. They do a really good job of basically prohibiting their season ticket holders from putting tickets out on the secondary market. In fact, there's been a lot of tweets this week I've seen from the Vegas season ticket holders that have had their accounts essentially suspended for getting caught doing that. So, while the regular season, it's very easy for an out-of-town fan to get into this building, it's not that way in the playoffs. So in the playoffs, they really do have, genuine Vegas Golden Knight, fandom in there and actual, Golden Knight fans, which I remember when they got the expansion team here, we kind of wondered if it was always going to be an out-of-town crowd, a casino crowd, or anything like that. And right now, it's just a fun atmosphere. Very different than Raleigh. Raleigh is kind of a different type of fan base, but they get liquored up before the games too. I mean, they're out there tailgating like a football game, so it's pretty sweet. Two very vastly different fan bases, but rabid in their own right.
Why do you hate torts?
I don't hate torts. Actually, it's quite the opposite. I'm glad I don't have to cover them on a full-time basis.
Yeah.
But he and I have always gotten along. In fact, there was a big joke at his media day saying that he wasn't going to answer. He wasn't willing to answer any questions. And then suddenly I threw a question at him, and he gave me a 45-second answer, and everybody was kind of stunned at it. So, I do wish he was, I wish people knew the real torts, because deep down he's a very, very good guy. But he just gets so uptight, and he sometimes treats people in these settings with such a lack of respect that it really sometimes bothers me a lot, because I just think that people don't deserve that. But he just gets so uptight, and but it's what makes him good. It's why he's gotten himself back here. But no, I definitely don't hate torts, that's for sure.
Give me the backstory on, it's not unprecedented for a coach to be fired that late, but it doesn't happen much. And to see it, so far, obviously work out as not just a home run, but a grand slam home run is it's a hell of a story. So how did this happen? What was your reaction when it took place? And give us the backstory on how we got to this spot where the torch is now in.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I wasn't really surprised, even though you're very surprised, if that makes sense. Just because Kelly McCrimmon's done it before. He did it to Gerard Gallant. He did it to Pete DeBoer. And clearly he did it to Bruce Cassidy. Here's a guy that coached this team to a Stanley Cup, and then he gets fired with 8 games left in the season. I talked to Bruce Cassidy last weekend and did a big story on him on Tuesday, because right now they're not allowing him to interview for other jobs. And it's well within their rights. He has a year left on his deal, but he's not allowed to talk to Edmonton, to LA, to Toronto. And right now he's in limbo, and he was not happy about that when I talked to him and talked to me on the record. And I brought that to Gary Bettman and Bill Daly at their State of the League address, and they basically said that Vegas is doing nothing wrong. But to get to your original point, that's what I'm so fascinated about Rod Brind'Amour, the Carolina coach that's been here for 8, 9, 10 years, is that this guy, it's like his message never gets stale, where it just seems like every coach in this league at some point is going to wear out his welcome. And it's fascinating that Bruce Cassidy apparently did that here, and then they go get John Tortorella, who's worn out his welcome at myriad other stops as well. There's just something about professional sports where just the message gets stale and you have to make a change. Kelly McCrimmon recognized that there was something going on in that locker room that just was not getting this team to play at a high level. A lot of it was goaltending. And they bring in Torts, and he just put them back on the track, so to speak. And now they're 25-1
That's
in
it.
his 26th
Exactly.
game.
Yep.
Crazy.
It's now, and what I keep hearing, who mentioned this the other day? It might have been Louis, that the Torts approach he didn't go nuclear, like overhauling everything, which I guess is almost unrealistic at that late date. But it was the old, all right, we're going to trust veteran players. We're just going to try to calm things down a little bit. Is that what this is about? How much of this is X's and O's? How much of this is just, like you said, another voice and a guy who obviously knows how to coach, maybe with a little bit different touch?
Yeah, I think, look, everybody gets the coaching bump, so I don't want to take away anything from Torts from that standpoint. But I think they were probably at that point where they just needed Cassidy to leave, and anybody probably could have taken over and got this team that has a pedigree of winning back on the track. But to not take anything away from Torts, he does coach a system that's incredibly structured. They pack in the house, and they block shots, and they really make it hard for bodies and pucks to get to the net. And we saw that for 2.5 periods last night where Carolina just really couldn't get anything done. And that's what he's done here is he's gotten them to, he hasn't done much X's and O's, but he has added his defensive zone structure, and he's just made a couple tweaks along the way. They did get William Karlsson back. Carter Hart's playing great. And they're just, look, this is a good team. I mean, this is a team that won the Cup 3 years ago. Their blue line is really, really good. They're deep up the middle. I mean, we're seeing again, we saw it in the Colorado series, how much the Wild needed to improve up the middle. And we're seeing it here, why you need guys like Jack Eichel, William Karlsson. That's why I guarantee you, like the Wild are going to re-sign Michael McCarron. Like, there's no way that you could let him go. Because right now he added so much to the Wild's center depth, and a guy that can win draws and things like that. So not to bring it back to the Wild, but I think that's one big reason why Vegas has been so good is that they're just so deep up the middle, and you see that same thing with Carolina. So that's one area where I just think the Wild are going to have to continue to get better, why they're going after Dylan Larkin, why they'll re-sign McCarron here in the next, little bit. But this Vegas team is a really good team. And Carolina is a good team. I mean, this is going to be an interesting final at the final 5 games here. Were you okay with the no goal call against Vegas? You know what? I don't think the Torts should have challenged that. First of all, they have made it so abundantly clear that it is going to be hard to overturn a good goal or a no goal. And in this situation, even though that puck was loose, he stabs at the puck. It knocks Freddie back. And that's why he was able to, score that goal. And so I was fine with it. And man, is he lucky that Mark Stone scored to force overtime to at least reset things after Jordan Stahl scored on the tying goal. I do the go-ahead goal. The go-ahead goal. I still have a lot of questions coming in on Larkin because obviously we're your Wild leader, and I get it. People are intrigued. They're curious. They're interested. So one texter just puts it this way. What is the trade package that is a walk-away price for Russo Radio when it comes to trading for Larkin? I guess you must mean by that. I would trade. I mean, if they could get him for Yurov Stramel in a first, I would do it in a second. I just think they're going to probably have to give up a little money in this. And I just don't know if that's going to be enough. But if you could try to get him, if you could put an NHL player in there, and only trade one of those center prospects, I think that would be a home run. Like if you don't have to lose both your prospects in the deal, I think that would be big. So that would probably be my home run. But I mean, look, they are going after him. And the other thing that I think should be reassuring to Wild fans is this is again another example of where it's proving to me that Minnesota is a destination because I know for a fact that he would want to play for the Wild. And so if they don't get Dylan Larkin, what that tells me is that one, they're going to try for somebody else, and two, they'll probably get that person. Like people want to play here now, and a lot of it's because of Quinn, a lot of it's because of Kirill, a lot of it's because of Boldy and Faber, and a lot of it's because of Billy. I mean, and what he did at the Olympics. Here's another trade proposal they're wanting to get your view on. Russo, would you make this deal? Wild get Jack Hughes
Luke Hughes, Devils get Eriksson Ek, Wallstedt, Urhoff, and 2 number ones?
I don't know, because I don't know. That's a lot. And also, like that's, I don't see Jack and Luke being available right now.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to deal with stuff that I know could happen.
Yeah.
Like it would be likelier for the Wild to get Nico Hischier from the Devils right now than it would be to get those two.
Yeah, it's an important reminder, and I say this gently because I get the interest, right? You have to understand the entire league does not exist to make the Minnesota Wild better. I mean, we like to think that here, but there, and as you mentioned earlier and cautioned, there are other teams, really good teams that are going to be, that Larkin might be interested in too. So the assumption that everybody's just waiting to come here or that it's as easy as that flies in the face of reality very often.
Yeah, and I think it's complicated. Like I know that the Hugheses want to play together, and I know that Billy would love to make it happen, but to get 3 brothers on the same team, that could be problematic. I think it's already problematic in New Jersey having 2 on the same team. I think that's created some issues there, and I don't know. I just think that, to me, the best case scenario is to go after, a different type of person with a different last name. As much as it would be awesome to have Jack Hughes here. But having both of them, like I still don't get the dynamic of having Quinn and Luke on the same team, because Quinn is going to take away roles that would make Luke good. Like, Luke would have to be on the second unit. Luke would be a second pair guy. It just seems to me like, and then you're paying him $9 million to do that. It just makes no sense to me.
Yeah, that's where you're just getting too obsessed with it. It'd be cool to have all the Hugheses. Yeah, really cool. What if Detroit says, "I'll do business with you, but we are requiring Eriksson Ek back"?
I don't know. I still wouldn't want to do it. I don't know where Billy would be on that. I know that he would loathe to give up that guy.
Yeah.
But they've been trying to get a number 1 center for years. And look, Ek's getting up there in age. We obviously know his injury history.
True.
But man, how cool would it be to have Larkin and Ek as your number 1 and 2?
That's it. That's the whole point.
With McCarron as your number 3. Yeah. That's pretty good.
Yeah, the whole idea of, then it doesn't hurt quite as much if Eriksson Ek misses some time, right? I mean, that's the whole, in the playoffs even. You don't want him to, but don't let Russo fool you, Dan. He hates Torch because he put Tampa Bay on the map, and they tortured his beloved Panthers for years. Signed Russo's biggest love hater, Tampa Bay guy.
Yeah, that's not too far from being inaccurate, because I covered the Panthers back when all they did was beat the Lightning for fun. It was just constant. And then all of a sudden Torch showed up and it changed everything. Yeah, so see? That's actually a good point.
So that's a good acknowledgement on your part. Tony wants to get back to Carter Hart. We asked Russo about the Carter Hart situation. Huge news in Canada. There was some chanting last night too, was there not?
Yeah. The no means no chant. Yeah. Which is kind of hypocritical from the Hurricanes fans, because they also went after Carter Hart and Michael McLeod, who were part of that gang of 5 there. Right. And currently employ Calfoot on their minor league team. So Hurricanes fans are not being exactly, I think they have revisionist history and not forgetting the final 2 teams that went after this guy. It's obviously conflicting. He is the goalie of the Vegas Golden Knights now. It's amazing that he was out of this game for 2 years. Yeah. And at this time last year was on trial, and last summer didn't know if he was going to jail, and now he might win a cup. I mean, talk about life-changing year. I mean, holy moly. Yeah. I definitely don't think it's this inspirational story. No. But it is interesting. Yeah, it is a story. And he has absolutely turned this franchise around, because their goaltending this year was horrific. Absolutely brutal. To the point that they're going to try to get rid of Adin Hill, who won them a cup 3 years ago this summer. And they have Carter Hart signed at only $2 million next year. So it's pretty nuts. It is an uncomfortable storyline. Because especially somebody like me that's a Conn Smythe voter, now luckily he's given up 7 or 8 goals in the first 2 games. So, think he's taking himself out of the Carter Hart vote. But like, you know what you're getting if you put Carter Hart on your ballot, and you're and from the fans and things like that. So I'm kind of deep down glad that at least is probably not going to be part of the equation here at the end of this series.
All right. Well, we appreciate the time as always. I know you'll be able to stay dry. I mean, you might not be able to stay cool, but you'll stay dry, and we'll prepare for like you said, what is already has the makings of what could be like a classic series, right? I mean, all the signs are very good at this point, especially as you say with Carolina coming back and winning Game 2 the way they did.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been an incredible last couple of years for the Stanley Cup Final. I remember, was it 2 years ago where Edmonton rallied back from 3-0 to force a Game 7? I wasn't expecting to travel back and forth to Edmonton and Florida like 4 times, but this will be fun.
Thanks, Russo.
All right, see ya.
Appreciate you. Russo Radio, kind enough to join us via the Connecticut Water Systems hotline. I've got some texts to review. Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line, as always, is open. And you guys are, contributing mightily already. 64686. Really good Alamo-related question that's come in to the text line. We've got a remarkable Edina story to cover. But, Guardsy, when we come back, we might actually need to talk about, for want of a better expression, we might have to spend some time on the Pecos Riverization of the city of Minneapolis.
Okay.
I'll explain next.
You're listening to Barreiro on The Fan.
Keep listening for the next chance to win your way to our iHeartRadio Music Festival.
Guardsy, a long, long time ago, in a very different era of Minnesota Vikings football, the team had what was at least perceived to be a locker room and, quite frankly, front office problem. By that I mean, the theory was that the teams were very talented, maybe as talented as any in the league, had shown some signs of success, but couldn't sustain it and couldn't get the best out of what that talent offered because there were too many selfish egos in the room. Too many players interested more about their personal stats, like sacks, than they were winning football games. And there was also a deep mistrust among some with the general manager of the club, Mike Lynn, at the time. So the decision was made that, by Mike Lynn, as I recall it, that, you know what we're going to do? We're going to fly everybody to one of those touchy-feely retreat spots called Pecos River. Believe me, for a columnist like me, it provided several years' worth of fodder, cheap shots, snark, etc. And
you could argue it's still going on because now, 30 years ago, they went to Pecos River. Now Pecos River is in Egan.
You could make that argument.
Kevin O'Connell has brought the river here.
With, well, the notable exception of Kwesi, who...
He's gone. They put him on a raft.
He's on his own.
He's down the river.
I think they may have given him a life preserver. We're not sure. Although he's landed okay. He got to shore because now he's got another big shot title back in San Francisco.
He's got a title.
Well,
maybe a cube.
It's a fancy title. I don't know if it means anything. But it was... got a lot of national news because that kind of stuff didn't happen all that much. And by the way, they had, as I recall it, there were exercises to encourage and nurture trust where, all right, you're counting on one of your teammates or one of the coaches, one of those deals where you're like leaning backwards, not knowing where you're going to land if you don't get help, if you don't trust one of your teammates. I'm not sure I'd have done that at the edge of a cliff. But that was the sort of stuff that they were doing that we all kind of had fun with. Well, the story seems relevant again today in the city of Minneapolis. StarTribune.com has a story indicating that the city of Minneapolis signed a 3-year contract with something called Darcy, let me see if I got this pronunciation right, Luoma Coaching and Consulting, LLC, a Wisconsin company, to boot.
We're in the wrong business.
A Wisconsin company. A 3-year contract worth up to $1.4 million. The city is going to pay up to $1.4 million for what's described as a range of services designed to help, wait for it, the council, the mayor, and his cabinet to work better together. Apparently, they had a 2-day retreat, not in Pecos River, but in downtown Minneapolis in October. In fact, the Star-Tribune reports that the retreat started, they were just starting that 2-day retreat when Renee Good was shot by a federal immigration and customs enforcement agent, at which point the retreat obviously was abruptly ended. The exercise resumed last week, they are reporting, with sessions Thursday and Friday that included 10 of the 13 council members, along with the mayor and his cabinet of 3. Well, let's just play it.
This is the end, my only friend, the end.
It's silly me. I always thought that when you run for office and you make pledges, that one of the pledges is, I'm going to stand for my beliefs, I'm going to stand for my principles, but I also understand that I have to be practical, savvy about it, and I have to work with other people. Because that's the only way, perhaps, legislation gets done or programs can be developed and built, etc. Apparently, that's not one of the pledges. Because we're now spending, and again, it's a drop in the bucket these days, sadly, $1.4 million. But it symbolically, how embarrassed should everybody be? Well, we don't know how to do it. We don't know what we're doing. We don't know how to do it. We don't know how to get along.
Can't be adults.
We can't be adults. We ask everybody else to be adults about a lot of stuff, but we can't do it on our own. So what are we good at? We're good at writing checks. That's right. That's $1.4 million. What the hell's the difference? I mean, feeding our futures in the billions, right? We know what's 1.4 million is a drop in the bucket. And I'm just reading. It's too good. Fry said participants came away with important and clear agreements on what we're going to do, how we're going to treat each other. Nobody benefits. Now, see, here's an example. I would say I would gently tell the mayor, if we've taught you about you're going to go at this a little less snarky, a little less, in your face, critical of the council. If one of the first things you say after you complete this training is nobody benefits if the council chambers look like a circus, which he's not wrong, but I'm not sure that would be considered part of the new rapprochement, so to speak. Councilmember Latricia Vita said both sides worked on finding common ground, setting ground rules, and airing grievances. I brought up that the mayor is not there to defend himself during most council meetings, and there's a lot of mayor bashing happening. It's unnecessary. We got enough bashing from other people. One of my favorite moments here, Vita and Councilmember Linnea Palmisano said similar exercises were done a few years ago, but Fry said this is the first time they've been able to agree on how they'll treat each other. So apparently they had some kind of here's how we agree. Doesn't even mean that they're going to do it. We're, at least in paper, here's what we've agreed to do. Additional meetings are scheduled to be held. This is the best part. Let me see if I can get to the last page here. Did I leave the last page out? Let me double check here. Yeah, I'll save it. I might have. Here it is. I think this is what I'm looking for here. It's kind of. No, it's not the. Here. Yeah, this is it. Council member Robin Wansley, perhaps Fry's most vocal critic, there's no perhaps, wasn't there last week and didn't respond for a comment. The whole point of this is the people who are at each other's throats the most, by definition, don't they all have to be there? Don't they find a way to be there?
Yeah.
If not, 1.4 million and there's no requirement that everybody's there for this thing? This is sad. And I know there are probably serious-minded people that say, well, at least they're trying to, they're trying something. They're trying to, deal with the problem. That's their acknowledgement that they can't do it on their own.
That's true.
And as far as it goes, that is true. But I can't help, I come out of this feeling the same way I did about the Vikings. It's an incredible waste of money, largely, because it's often just stating the obvious. It's going to break down the moment, in the case of the Vikings, they lose to the Bears in a game they're supposed to win. And here it's going to break down the first time a new issue that they don't agree on is going to come forward, and somebody's going to go a little over the line, and the other person's going to go further over the line, and it's going to be back to dogs and cats living together. There's a lot of things where they say the first step is, acknowledgement in more personal issues, especially involving, like, say, alcohol, for example. But in this case, the acknowledgement that we don't know how to treat each other, we don't know how to make our point without it turning into a three-ring circus, I can't imagine a bigger indictment for a set of elected officials. We need outside help. And so you're going
to pay for it.
And you're going to pay for it.
1.4 mil.
Exactly it. It's not we're going to pool our resources. We're going to find, like, we talk about, schools having athletic fat cats. Couldn't they have found a
booster?
A Minneapolis booster, a big fat cat who loves the city, and say, hey, don't worry about it. I'll write this check. That's a drop in the bucket for me.
Yeah.
Presumably we're paying for this with no guarantee it's going to work. And like I said, an acknowledgement. All this does is confirm what we've said. The dysfunction is almost unprecedented. It's embarrassing. And it's not the way a city is supposed to operate in any way, shape, or form. And a couple of his biggest critics weren't even there. So are they all on board? Do we have any knowledge of whether they are? I'm not exactly sure. So
I love the headline from the Star Tribune newsletter.
Yes,
the couples therapy.
Good alliteration there for sure.
They may have just laid off a bunch of people, but they kept a clever one. Whoever wrote that is fun.
That was very well done.
Yep.
Yeah,
and we're in the wrong business. I mean, I love this job.
Yeah.
I love the shows we do together and all the Gopher stuff and everything. But man, I'm in the wrong business. I made some wrong choices.
Would it have been better? How would it have been cheaper just to have like a picnic that everybody shows up at?
Just throw it in AI.
Yeah.
What's the best way if we're having a disagreement?
Yeah.
See what it comes up with and try that. You just put in your email and you can get ChatGPT.
We're going to have to explain to you. I mean, you're being asked to be treated like children. Not a good idea to swear at the mayor to make whatever point you're trying to make. I can't sit here and say I'm surprised, but I am. When I saw this headline, I said this has onion to it, but it does feel like the more things change, the more they stay the same. This is Pecos River decades later all over again. Only this time, like I said, it's not a private team, although we financed a lot of the Vikings. We know that.
Yeah.
These are the individuals who are supposed to make decisions that change lives and enrich lives.
Yes.
Right? It's not just not just a stupid sports team.
We're not trying to beat the Packers.
No.
We're trying to make lives better.
Absolutely amazing. Top of the hour pause now.
You're listening to Barreiro.